We were never taught how important it was to love God. We were taught to go to church, but we never were taught how important it was to love God.
I sometimes tell people that my real job is raising these children. We have 9. And the rocking chairs is just a byproduct of that.
What color am I when you're looking within? Can you tell what I feel by the shade of my skin?
Hi, and welcome to ID 21.
Yes, we have an informative program on tap for you today. We're going to be talking about the breakdown in the American home. We have Lydell Thomas with us. He's the director of the Inner City Ministries. Also a little later in the show, we have William Ewing, founder of the Christian Home for Prison Releasees.
Wow, it's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
And later in the show, you'll meet a family that's bound together not only by their faith in God, but by rocking chairs.
Rocking chairs, yes. And we're going to have a wonderful singer in our entertainment segment.
Who?
He's going to be asking the question, what color am I?
Who?
John Primm.
All right.
Yes.
And we'll hear him and other things a bit later, so you stay with us.
You go to Mobile, Montgomery, it's the same. You go to Orlando, Chattanooga, it's the same. You go to Murfreesboro, it's the same. The inner city culture's there, and it's a culture built on hopelessness, or founded on hopelessness.
Well, before we meet our guest, I want to read a quote from a brochure on the Inner City Ministry. It says, "In every large city exist 2 cities. In the depths of the larger city lies the forgotten city or the inner city." And it goes on to say, in a few words, it is the closest thing to hell on earth. Now, I want you to meet our guest. He's Lydell Thomas, director of the Inner City Ministry here in Nashville. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Larry. It's good to be with you.
Is it really that bad?
Larry, I believe that any place, in any community where the home falls apart and a child has to grow up in a situation of hopelessness, I feel that it's hell.
And why is it hopeless in the inner city?
I've seen children having children, as sad as it may be, but we see children having children, and they're not equipped with the skills necessary that God intended for parents to have in raising children. And when a child is born into hopelessness, if that hopelessness is let to continue, it will develop into a hurt. And if the hurt is not healed, it will develop into anger. And anger let go and not given the biblical values of how to deal with an anger that builds inside yourself develops into rage. And rage on a given point, at a given time, develops into violence. It's not a black and white. Oftentimes when you speak of inner city, a misconcept is that people think that's black. That's not true. Now that just really is not true. The inner city is another culture. Might add, all inner cities I've been in, and I've been in a lot of them, they're all the same. If you leave Nashville and go to Birmingham, Alabama, once you go in the inner city, it's the same. You go to Mobile, Montgomery, it's the same. You go to Orlando, Chattanooga, it's the same. You go to Murfreesboro, it's the same. The inner city culture's there, and it's a culture built on hopelessness, or founded on hopelessness.
You're not excited about this work, are you?
Yes, I love this work. I love taking hope to people who are faced with hopelessness.
And what is that hope that you take to them?
Take them the ability to know that God does not make junk, if I may say that you're special. You're created in the image of God. You're created for a purpose. You are a good person. And don't believe these lies that you are worth nothing. Let us tell you about a God that loved the world so much that he gave his only begotten Son. You're special. The other night I had a young man came to a class, and I was teaching a class, and he was walking around. And you've been in classes I've taught before, and I'm big on discipline. But he was going back and forth, and his child's about 16 years old. And so he started annoying me. You know, I couldn't get him to listen.
He got on your nerves.
He was getting on my nerves.
Okay.
And so I asked him, I said, son, why are you acting this way? What makes you act this way? And he said, I'm the devil. And I said, no, you're not the devil. I know you're not the devil. I know the devil, and you're not the devil. Why are you acting this way? And why do you think that is what I asked him. What made you say that? And so then I could tell this child was serious in his expression on his face. He wasn't kidding. He was serious. And I said, why do you say that? And he said, all my life I've been told I'm the devil. And I said, son, you're not the devil. And I explained to him some things that I had seen the devil cause people to do, like the mother that goes for a hit of cocaine, and the drug dealer is standing beside a dumpster that's on fire. And the drug dealer tells her, I'll give you a free hit of cocaine if you'll lay your hand up on that fire dumpster until I count to 5, and she does. That's the devil. This child just needed to be loved. He needed some Christian to come to him when he was 1 year old and put his arm around him, because his home wasn't equipped to do this. And put his arm around him and say, you're special. I love you. And you and I are going to get to be friends. And build hope and build trust. Because see, if we don't build trust in our children, if we don't get organized religion out of the church building and out in the community where the people are, the government can't solve this problem. I want to get away from the idea that everybody lives in the inner cities carrying a gun and wants to hurt somebody. There's thousands and thousands of people entrapped because of economic situations in our inner cities in public housing, and they're good people. And all they want is an opportunity. We don't think that, though, do we?
We don't think that. We lump them all together as being bad people.
I've heard people leave the impression that being poor is sin, and being successful and being rich is being a faithful Christian. There's nothing wrong with being poor, you know. Look at Job. He was rich and he was poor. And so we have a tendency to look down over the inner city and set that up as a group of people that we just need to stay away from. When in reality, we need to be the people, Christians need to be the people going in the inner city and saying that me.
You have a worship service each week at a public school, is that correct?
What we were trying to do, we were renting a public school because we want to put most of our resources into people and not into facilities. What we try to do is build homes using biblical values. And one of the things that every home needs is to worship God. So we have a worship assembly in a public school facility that we rent. And this worship assembly is a place where sinners come. So it's not a black church, it's not a white church. It is not a rich church, not a poor church. It's a place where sinners come and worship God, and it's a great place to worship. I love it. I enjoy it. It's my church home.
I don't have a good ear, but I know some good. He sounds good, and we're proud of him, and we want to challenge every young person here. This is what we want to do for you. We want to develop you so you can use your talent to serve the Lord. Good. Sit down, son. He sits down well, too.
So the number one problem in the inner city is hopelessness.
Hopelessness. I think that's it. I think that's it. And the reason it exists is because organized religion has kept its activities turned inward and has kept its values inside its church building. We got to get them out of the church building, get them out into the war.
And all that affects the breakdown of the home.
That is the reason I think our homes are falling apart.
Appreciate you being with us. When we come back, Susan Meredith will introduce you to William Ewing as we continue the focus on the breakdown of the home. Stay with us.
But what it all stems back to, it goes back to the early childhood where the father was not there to love them with the love of God.
My guest is William Ewing. He comes from Shelbyville, Tennessee originally, and he knows about the breakdown of the home. He's now the director and founder of the Christian Home for Prison Releasees in Nashville, Tennessee, and he also works with some teenagers now. I'm glad to have you with me.
It's wonderful to be here, Susan.
Yeah, you do work with teenagers now, and that's not just out of the Christian Home for Prison Releasees. This is an offshoot ministry, isn't it?
Yes, this is the vision of Christian Home.
Okay. What do they do? What is the name of this organization?
This is called Born with a Purpose, and we have found that in the high schools today, most students are just starving for the right type of attention. But what it all stems back to, it goes back to their early childhood where the father was not there to love them with the love of God, which they were created, designed to have.
Was your father not in your home? Were you raised without a father?
My father was there, Susan. He was really there. The thing about it is that I never was able to receive from him that love that every child needs to be handed down to him. The thing about that love that comes from all fathers, whether they're black or white, is that that love has to have God in it.
What is the major separation in people's thinking that causes this breakdown?
Well, it's a lack of values being there in the home. We were never taught how important it was to love God. We were taught to go to church, but we never were taught how important it was to love God. That there were things that you would value as far as honoring your body, saving your body for God. See, we were never taught that. And not being taught that, we didn't see that connection between our father and our mother as far as loving one another or treating one another with that godly respect.
Do you think people are being taught that now? I mean, even in church, don't we have some of the same problems?
We have the majority of the problem there in church. One reason is because so many children today, they're taught to be more attentive to church rather than to know God.
More activity.
Yes.
Yeah, activity-oriented.
Everything is centered around so many curriculums, you see, an activity, and not a personal relationship with Jesus Christ.
Okay, now how do we turn that around? I mean, I think there are some inroads being made, but
yes,
and your organization, Born with a Purpose, how do you teach somebody they have a purpose?
First of all, when we go into a high school, every child that is having a problem or headed in that direction to have a problem, we have seen that they stem from rebellion. They are angry about something occurring in their family. And when we see that child with that rebellious type of attitude, first of all, the main thing that God directs us to do is to become a friend. If we can't win their friendship, then they're never going to trust us. Children are not built up. The reason why they're not built up, Susan, is because the parents do not understand that they have to be brought up under the admonition of the Bible. And they never get to be able to tap into the reality of what it means to know God.
All right. Thanks so much, William. Appreciate having you. All right. If you have children that you would like to see get into a program like this, call your local Fellowship of Christian Athletes, FCA, and we'll be right back.
If we can have the animals and the garden and the things around us that will keep us fed and the clean air and the clean water, that's about as good as you're going to get in life. Everything else is gravy.
Well, it's time to shift gears. You know, we've been talking about what's wrong with the American home, but there are a lot of things that are right with the American home also, and you came across a couple of families that kind of suit that.
You got that right.
Do I?
And this first story is about the James Overman family.
Yes.
James is the father of this clan, and he was a former chemist, has 2 master's degrees, gave all that up for the simple life, and when I came across him, he was building Amish-style rocking chairs.
Yeah.
So here's the first of 2 Souder and Friends classics.
I sometimes tell people that my real job is raising these children. We have 9. And the rocking chairs is just a byproduct of that. James Ray is my oldest. He's 20. Zach is 16. Paul is 14. John Mark is 12. Samuel's 10. Well, that's the 5 boys who work in the shop. Peter is 4, and he'd love to work in the shop, but we don't allow him to because of the tools. We have 3 daughters. Lydia is 18, Sarah is 16, and Mary is 8.
I really enjoy the big family and just the caring for one another is a lot of my joy in being the mother of this crew.
I about starved in the rocking chair business at one time. but the Lord honored my wanting to be with my family and wanting to raise my family for Him. And I have to give Him the credit for making my business work. The reason crafts are so important in today's world is because people are trying to reach back into their past, into something that's more related to life and not so depersonalized. We're not so hurried out here. We have more time to think, more time for each other.
Well, that's the Obermans. Wouldn't mind having one of those rocking chairs myself. How about you?
Yeah, you've been off your rocker for years, some would say.
Thank you very much.
I know.
Tell us about feature number 2 before you get in trouble.
Well, I sure will. To many people, you know, the good life, it means a good paying job and a house in the suburbs. And a man named Richard Spicer lived in Detroit, and then he gave it all up for a very country lifestyle. And this feature is called Basket Maker.
We have a cow and a horse, some chickens. And to us, really, that's wealth because it's what's real. It's what counts in life. If we can have the animals and the garden and the things around us that will keep us fed and the clean air and the clean water, that's about as good as you're going to get in life. Everything else is gravy. And now that I'm getting good at making baskets, we get some gravy too once in a while. Since we live in a very small house, there's no secrets. And we really share as a family, and that's important to us too.
Any regrets?
No, I was afraid at first. It's kind of hard leaving what you think is security behind and doing something you've never done before. You don't know what it's going to be like. But no, I don't have any regrets. I'd do it again now. I'm enjoying it.
Now you're Chris.
Yeah.
You're Patrick.
Right.
How do you like living in the woods like this?
It's pretty fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, you got a lot of room to do things.
Do you miss McDonald's and Burger King?
Sometimes.
Yeah?
Sometimes. Not very much, though.
I think that when you live in an urban society and you have a really busy life, Burger King and McDonald's are important to you because they give you a chance to slow down. I'm always slowed down.
Now you have an outdoor latrine out here. What's the worst part of using something like that?
Getting frostbite on your posterior.
We really have a pretty good relationship with our neighbors, and we're real lucky for that because we're kind of odd from the standpoint of, we're from another state and I have long hair and don't go to work.
It's peaceful and it's quiet and we're all happy here.
Brother, can you tell me what color am I?
I want to introduce a friend.
Okay.
Yes, this is a man with Tribute Records, and he's a carpenter by trade. And he's a man that knows also about inner city things and about breakdown in the family, but he knows about success as a singer. His name is John Primm.
Whoa. I was born in Mississippi in a crowded one-room shack. I grew up picking cotton on the wrong side of the track. But I remember Mama saying, son, don't ever lose your pride. Brother, can you tell me what color am I? I was born in Arizona, where I was free to roam. on a crowded reservation that they said was my home. But an eagle has no spirit if he's not allowed to fly. Brother, can you tell me what color am I? What color am I when you're looking within? Can you tell what I feel by the shade of my skin? Just like you, I laugh and I cry. Brother, can you tell me what color am I? Oh, oh, from a strange and distant land, somewhere far across the sea, I came to work the railroad in the land of the free. But they treated me with hatred for the shape of my eyes. Brother, can you tell me what color am I? I was born in America, and in my heart there is a dream. We will one day live together as a nation at peace. Like the story in the Bible about the lion and the lamb, where it finally doesn't matter what color I am. Oh, what color am I when you're looking within? Can you tell what I feel by the shade of my skin? Just like you, I laugh and I cry. Brother, can you tell me what color am I? Oh, just like you, I laugh and I cry. Brother, can you tell me what color am I? Does it really matter what color I am? Red, yellow, black, or white, we're all precious in His sight. Oh yeah. We've got to learn to love each other.
And that's John Primm. Quite a message in that song, isn't there?
Yeah, there sure is.
That's our show this week. How about next week?
Well, next week it's for those people that are concerned about the occult, people that are concerned about Satan worship. Are you concerned about Satan worship?
Sure.
Okay, well, I think a lot of people are today, and the negative influences of Halloween, and that's coming up.
And on the show next week, Jimmy Furr will be here. He's an occult expert, and we'll visit a place called the Judgment House.
All right, and they don't want to miss that.
No, they don't.
They don't.
So we'll see you next week. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.